I should have seen it coming when Mom called me 3 weeks before her 30th anniversary party. "Maya, sweetie, we're having a little celebration," she said, her voice dripping with false warmth. "Nothing fancy. Just close family." I knew better. Mom and Richard, my stepfather of 15 years, never did little anything. But I played along because that's what I'd always done. The invisible daughter. The one who didn't matter enough to warrant a real invitation but couldn't be completely excluded without looking bad. "That sounds nice, Mom. When is it?" "March 18th, Saturday evening." "Oh, and Maya?" Her tone shifted, becoming businesslike. "Dress appropriately. Richard's colleagues will be there." Translation: "Don't embarrass us with your Target clearance rack wardrobe." Of course, I said. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd just finalized a $2.3 million deal as the lead entertainment coordinator for Prestige Events, the most exclusive event planning company in the tri-state area. The struggling event assistant they loved to pity had been running high-profile corporate events for 3 years, pulling in $340,000 annually. I kept my success quiet for exactly this reason. The moment my family discovered I had money, I'd become their personal ATM. I'd watched it happen to my cousin Derek when he got his inheritance. Within 6 months, he was broke and they'd moved on to the next target. So I drove my paid-off Honda, shopped at thrift stores, and let them think I was barely scraping by. It was easier that way. The formal invitation arrived 2 weeks later, addressed to Maya Chen and guest. I opened it to find thick cardstock with gold embossing. The kind that cost $15 per invitation. My event planner brain immediately calculated, 150 guests at $15 each meant $2,250 just on invitations. Then I saw the venue, the Grandview Estate. My venue. Well, not mine personally, but I'd coordinated 17 events there in the past year. I knew every inch of that property, knew the manager personally, and knew exactly what it cost to book. Minimum spend, $25,000 for a Saturday evening in March. My phone rang. Stephanie, my half-sister, didn't bother with pleasantries. "Mom says you're coming alone." Again. She laughed. "Seriously, Maya, you're 32. When are you going to find someone?" "Oh, that's right, who wants to date someone working part-time at weddings?" "I'll see you there, Steph," I said calmly. "Make sure you dress nicely. This isn't one of your budget events. We're talking top tier here." Richard spared no expense. Unlike some people, he knows how to treat Mom right. I bit my tongue. Richard had treated Mom right by bleeding through her inheritance from my father, convincing her to refinance the house twice, and racking up $87,000 in credit card debt. But sure, a $25,000 party was exactly what their finances needed. "I'm sure it'll be beautiful," I said. "It better be. We hired the best. Some company called Prestige Events? They charge a fortune, but Richard says we deserve the best." My hand tightened on the phone. "Prestige Events? Yeah. Why, have you heard of them?" "Oh, right, you probably worked one of their events as a server or something." She laughed again. "Anyway, I have to go. The planner is calling about the champagne fountain. See you in 2 weeks." She hung up before I could respond. I sat in my apartment, a modest one-bedroom I deliberately chose to maintain my cover, and pulled up the event file on my laptop. There it was, Chen Morrison 30th Anniversary Celebration. Coordinator, Sarah Matthews. Sarah was my associate, someone I'd trained personally. I scrolled through the details. Champagne fountain. 4-course dinner. Live band. Premium open bar. Floral arrangements that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Custom lighting. Valet parking. Total invoice, $28,750. And there, in the notes section, Sarah had written, "Client requested family member Maya Chen be seated in low visibility location at family's request. Mother specifically requested somewhere she won't be in photos." I read it 3 times. Somewhere she won't be in photos. My own mother had specifically requested I be hidden at her anniversary party. Not excluded, that would look bad. Just invisible. Where I'd always been. I should have been hurt. Instead, I felt something else. Clarity. I opened a new email to Sarah. "Let's discuss the Chen Morrison event. I need to review the contract terms regarding planner presence requirements." Her response came within minutes. "Maya, I didn't realize they were your family. Do you want me to reassign this?" "No," I typed back. "But I want to review every detail. Especially the cancellation clause. And make sure the DJ has our standard announcement protocol in the contract." "Already there," she confirmed. Standard clause, lead coordinator must be present for events over $20,000, or performance cancelled with full payment retained per contract section 7.3. Perfect. The night of the party, I dressed carefully. Not too nice, they expected struggling Maya. But not shabby either. A simple black dress from Nordstrom Rack, last season's heels, minimal jewelry. The kind of outfit that screamed, I tried my best with my limited budget. I arrived at the Grandview estate at exactly 6:47 p.m. 13 minutes before the official start time. Early enough to look eager, late enough that setup would be complete. The estate looked stunning. Sarah had outdone herself. Thousands of fairy lights draped the outdoor terrace. The champagne fountain sparkled under strategic spotlighting. Floral arrangements in cream and gold adorned every surface. A 12-piece band set up on the stage. The DJ booth sat off to the side, ready for dancing later. I recognized Marcus, our preferred DJ, doing his sound check. He gave me a subtle nod. Maya. Mom swept toward me in a designer gown that probably cost $3,000. You made it. You look nice. Is that new? Thrift store, I lied smoothly. Congratulations, Mom. The venue is beautiful. Isn't it? She beamed, not catching my carefully neutral tone. Richard insisted on the best. Nothing but the best for his girl. She squeezed my arm. Now, about your seat. I saw the seating chart, I interrupted. Table 14. Behind the column. She had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable. Well, it's just that Richard's business partners are here, and Stephanie and Brandon need to be visible for networking, and we thought you'd be more comfortable somewhere quiet. Somewhere I won't be in the photos? I asked pleasantly. Her face flushed. Maya, don't be dramatic. It's just logistics. You understand. I do, I said. And I did. I understood perfectly. Good. Now mingle, but maybe not too much? Richard's boss is here and you know how these corporate types can be. We don't want them getting the wrong impression about the family. Translation, don't embarrass us by existing too visibly. I smiled. Don't worry, Mom. I won't be a problem. The next hour was a masterclass in subtle cruelty. Stephanie introduced me to her friends as my half-sister. She works in events, with just enough emphasis on works in to make it clear she meant works for. Richard's brother James asked what I did. Before I could answer, Richard cut in. Maya does some event assistant work. Part-time stuff. We keep hoping she'll find something more stable, but... He shrugged, as if my career failures were a sad family burden. I sipped my champagne, Veuve Clicquot, $89 per bottle wholesale. They'd ordered 47 bottles, and said nothing. At dinner, I sat behind my column at table 14, squeezed between two empty chairs. And a woman who spent the entire meal turned away from me, deep in conversation with the table to her right. I could see the stage, could hear everything, but from the main floor, I was completely invisible. Exactly as planned. Their plan, not mine. From my hidden vantage point, I watched Stephanie give a toast about how Richard had saved our family after my father died, how he'd given Mom the life she deserved, how generous he was. She raised her glass. To 30 more years of happiness. 150 people applauded. No one mentioned my father. No one mentioned that the house they lived in, the one Richard had refinanced twice, had been paid for with my father's life insurance. No one mentioned that Mom's comfortable life had come from my father's careful financial planning, not Richard's leveraged debt. I checked my watch, 8:23 p.m. The first dance would start at 8:30 p.m. At 8:26 p.m., I stood up, grabbed my small clutch, and walked calmly toward the exit. The few people who noticed probably thought I was heading to the restroom. I made it to the parking lot, got in my car, and sent a single text to Sarah, I have left the venue. Execute standard protocol per contract section 7.3. Her response was immediate, confirmed. Marcus has been notified. I started my car but didn't leave. Instead, I pulled into a parking spot with a clear view of the estate's main entrance. Then I waited. At exactly 8:30 p.m., the band finished their set. Through the open terrace doors, I could see Mom and Richard moving to the center of the dance floor. The crowd gathered around them, phones out, ready to capture the perfect moment. The romantic opening notes of Unforgettable began to play. Mom and Richard took their positions, her hand in his arm around her waist. Picture perfect. The life she'd chosen. The family she'd preferred. They took 2 steps. Then the music cut out. I couldn't hear Marcus's announcement from the parking lot. But I'd written it myself, and I knew he'd deliver it exactly as specified in the contract. Attention guests. This is a contractual announcement. Per the terms of the Prestige Events Service Agreement, Section 7.3, the lead coordinator must be present for all events exceeding $20,000 in value. Maya Chen, the lead coordinator for this event, has left the premises. Per contract, all services are hereby terminated effective immediately. The band, DJ, catering staff, and bartenders will be departing. Thank you for your understanding. Even from the parking lot, I heard the collective gasp. My phone started ringing immediately. Mom. I declined the call. It rang again. Stephanie. Declined. A text from Mom, Maya, where are you? Another text, this isn't funny. Stephanie, what the hell did you do? I watched as the band began packing up their instruments. The catering staff started clearing tables. The bartenders closed down the premium bar. Marcus dismantled his DJ booth with practiced efficiency. Through the terrace doors, I could see chaos. Guests milling about in confusion. Mom's face, visible even from this distance, had gone completely white. Richard was yelling at someone, probably the venue manager. My phone showed 23 missed calls in 4 minutes. Then I saw Sarah's SUV pull into the loading zone. She was coming to supervise the breakdown, as protocol required. As she passed my car, I rolled down my window. Everything okay? I asked. She grinned. Smoothest contract termination I've ever seen. The venue manager tried to argue, but the contract is ironclad. They signed it, they agreed to the terms. Section 7.3 is crystal clear. She leaned against my car. Your mom is losing it in there. Demanding to speak to the owner of Prestige Events. What did you tell her? That the owner is currently unavailable, but that the lead coordinator for this event, Maya Chen, was the appropriate point of contact, and she had specifically requested Ms. Chen be seated somewhere she won't be in photos. Sarah's grin widened. The look on her face when I said your full name. My phone rang again. This time, it was Richard. I answered. Hello? Maya. His voice was strangled. What the hell is going on? These people are saying you're the coordinator? That's impossible. You're an assistant. I'm the lead coordinator for Prestige Events, I said calmly. I have been for 3 years. You can't, this is insane. Get back here right now and fix this. No, I said simply. What do you mean, no? This is your mother's anniversary party. And I was seated behind a column. At my own mother's anniversary party. At an event I coordinated. Because I wasn't important enough to be visible. Maya, don't be ridiculous. It was just seating arrangements. The contract specified that the lead coordinator must be present and properly accommodated. I was neither. The termination is valid. You'll receive a full refund within 7 to 10 business days, minus the 25% cancellation fee as specified in Section 9.2. The silence on the other end was deafening. You're telling me, Richard said slowly, his voice shaking, that you just canceled your own mother's anniversary party? In front of 150 people? Out of spite? Not spite, I corrected. Contract compliance. You hired Prestige Events. You agreed to our terms. You violated those terms. Actions have consequences. You spoiled little. I hung up. Sarah was still standing by my car, barely containing her laughter. You should see it in there. Half the guests are leaving. Your mom is crying. Stephanie is screaming at the venue manager. Richard is on the phone, probably trying to find another company to come save the party. Will anyone take the job? At 8:47 p.m. on a Saturday night? For a party that just publicly imploded? She shook her head. Not a chance. Every reputable company in the area is already booked. And even if they weren't, word travels fast in this industry. Nobody wants to touch a client who just had a contract termination. My phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. Maya, this is James, Richard's brother. I don't know what happened, but that announcement was brutal. Your mom is having a breakdown. Whatever they did, they clearly deserved it. Good for you. Then another text, this time from Stephanie. How could you do this to Mom? On her special day? You're so selfish. You've always been jealous that Richard loves her more than your dad ever did. I stared at that text for a long moment. Then I blocked her number. A few guests were trickling out to the parking lot now, confused and uncomfortable. I recognized some of Richard's colleagues, dressed in expensive suits, checking their watches and heading for their cars. The party they'd come to network at had just spectacularly collapsed. One woman, Richard's boss's wife, if I remembered correctly, walked past my car, phone pressed to her ear. I heard her say, "No, I'm serious." The whole thing just shut down mid-first dance. Some contract violation. The planner left because they seated her behind a column or something? It's absolutely wild. Very awkward. Another text from Mom, please Maya. Please come back. We can fix this. I'll move your seat. You can sit wherever you want. Please don't ruin this for me. I typed back, I'm not ruining anything. I'm simply no longer providing services to someone who wanted me hidden. The contract was clear. You chose to violate it. I didn't know you were the coordinator. You never told me. You never asked what I did for a living. You just assumed I was struggling. Maya, please. Everyone is leaving. This party cost $28,750. I read that text twice. She knew the exact cost. Which meant she knew exactly how much debt they'd gone into for this party. You chose appearances over family, I typed back. You chose to hide me rather than include me. These are the consequences of that choice. I put my phone on silent. 47 minutes later, the parking lot was nearly empty. The band had loaded out. The caterers had packed up the uneaten food, $4, $200 worth of filet mignon and Chilean sea bass that would probably go to waste. The champagne fountain had been drained and dismantled. Marcus had texted me, cleanest shutdown ever. Thanks for the entertainment. Sarah knocked on my window. We're all clear. Venue manager wants to know if you need anything. Tell him thank you for handling it professionally. Will do. She hesitated. For what it's worth, Maya, I'm sorry they treated you like that. You deserved better. I know, I said. That's why I left. I drove home to my modest apartment, changed into sweatpants, and ordered Thai food. My phone showed 47 missed calls and 89 text messages, but I didn't read them. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up my calendar. Tomorrow I had a consultation with a client planning a $150,000 corporate gala. Tuesday, I was coordinating a wedding for a tech CEO. Friday, I was flying to Miami to scout venues for a pharmaceutical company's annual conference. My life was full. Successful. Mine. And it didn't include people who wanted me hidden. 3 weeks later, I received a letter from Mom. Actual handwritten letter, delivered through the mail. Maya, it began. I've tried calling but you won't answer. I need you to understand how humiliated we were. Richard's boss left before the main course. Stephanie's friends posted about it on social media. Everyone knows what happened. Everyone knows our party failed because of you. I kept reading. I don't understand why you didn't tell us you worked for that company. We could have gotten a family discount. We could have worked together on this. Instead, you deliberately sabotaged the most important night of my life. There was more, but I stopped reading there. She still didn't get it. Even now, after everything, she couldn't see that the problem wasn't my silence about my job. It was her decision to hide me. To exclude me. To treat me as less than. She didn't apologize. Not once in the entire letter. I filed the letter away and went back to work. 2 months later, I heard through the family grapevine that Mom and Richard had separated. The debt from the party, combined with the social embarrassment and Richard's fury at the professional humiliation, had finally cracked their perfect facade. They declared bankruptcy in May, and the house, my father's house, was in foreclosure. Stephanie called me from a blocked number. I answered by accident. I hope you're happy, she spat. Mom's losing everything because of you. Because you had to prove some petty point. I didn't prove a point, I said quietly. I enforced a boundary. There's a difference. You're heartless. No, I corrected. I'm done being invisible for people who only notice me when they need something. I hung up before she could respond. 6 months after the party, I got an email from James, Richard's brother. Maya, it read. I wanted to reach out. I witnessed what happened that night, and I've since learned more about how your family treated you. I want you to know that what you did took courage. Setting boundaries with family is the hardest thing in the world. You deserved better than being hidden. I hope you're doing well. It was the only acknowledgement I received that maybe, just maybe, I'd done the right thing. I am doing well. Better than well. Last month, I coordinated a gala that raised $1.2 million for charity. I was featured in Prestige Events magazine as one of the top coordinators in the region. I'm closing on a condo next month, a real one, not the modest apartment I maintained as a cover. And I'm visible. Finally, wonderfully visible. Not because I demanded attention, but because I stopped accepting invisibility. Sometimes I wonder if Mom ever understood what she lost that night. Not a party. Not a perfect moment. But a daughter who would have gladly coordinated the most beautiful anniversary celebration she could have imagined, if only she'd been treated like she mattered. But that's not my burden to carry anymore. I learned something important that night behind the column at the Grandview Estate. You teach people how to treat you. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to be treated badly anymore. Have you ever been made invisible by people who should have seen you? How did you find your voice? Share your story in the comments.